Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Sometimes the best way to find a living is to stay right where you are and study with UAS online. Career-specific distance programs from the University of Alaska Southeast are the fastest way to increase your earning power.
We connect all over the world.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks so much for joining us here at KAKM Studios for Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting this evening's show. Well, on the warning map here, we've got a flood warning out due to an ice jam and also rainfall that's occurred over the last couple of days, and that's not for the entire area here, but for the river near Deering, for, due to some ice jams. Again, some possible or flooding is occurring in that area. And there's also a flood watch here for the Kobuk and Koyukuk River Valley areas in the southwestern Brooks Range, and that's due to the 1 to 2 inches of rain they've had over the last couple of days in those areas, combined with melting snow. And anyway, that's out for another couple of days here, at least through tomorrow in both of these areas. Moving on to the breakup map, of course, not much change here going on. Still some areas up there on the northern Koyukuk River that's marked as mostly open, so implying there's a little bit of ice left there. And then conditions continuing to slowly break up here on the rivers here in the northwest Noatak Valley. And the other one there, North Slope River, still not showing much breakup yet, but temperatures, in some cases, into the lower 50s up across the North Slope this afternoon. Moving on to the fire danger, still got a little bit here in the interior, also up to the north there over the western upper Yukon Valley to the eastern Koyukuk Valley areas, and also here west of Cook Inlet, or actually almost west of the, or along and west of the Alaska Range there, though kind of right on the edge. Had some precipitation there today, especially back down to the southwest there, so that's kind of marginal in that area. For the satellite, yesterday, you could see high pressure developing here over the Gulf of Alaska, with this cloud area shifting southeastward, and then to the west, everything going from south to north and caught up in that southerly flow. A lot of moisture coming from, well, off the picture there, right up northward, all the way up to the Arctic coast, with some rainfall associated with that. And today, we're looking at the high pressure here strengthening. Clear skies, temperatures in the 70s here for the southeast coast, temperatures in the 60s, 70s, and lower 80s up over the interior, the eastern interior, the warm conditions all the way up to the eastern North Slope areas. And then still clouds with areas of rain here extending from western Kodiak Island, the Alaska Peninsula, especially over Bristol Bay there, and areas of showers and rain extending northward. Skies pretty well overcast over the western half of the state, all the way back into the Bering Sea. There were some breaks here over the southeast Bering Sea that got into the Pribilofs today, and a lot of clouds out over the Aleutians there, but some breaks going on as well in that area. And for the chart today, here's that boundary there with the moisture flowing northward along it, and again areas of rain from southwest Kodiak Island, again right up across the southwest interior. We had about 1/4 inch of rain falling today, 12-hour rainfall amount at Dillingham, 1/3 inch at New Stohoyak, and King Salmon had nearly 1/2 inch of rain again during the 12-hour period today, while AKwx there picked up about 1/4 of an inch of rain. Otherwise, we had a few hundredths to 1/10 of an inch or more here for the areas of the Yukon on up into the northwest interior. In that area, low pressure back here, out here over the Bering Sea, keeping a lot of clouds in from St. Lawrence Island, but not too bad, really the only foggy area up there through the Bering Strait at Tin City. And just some scattered showers with that trough in toward the central Aleutians, and not a bad day, variable clouds over the eastern Aleutian areas, as well as the Alaska Peninsula, dry back out here to the west. But again, a lot of sunshine here. You can see the high up over the Yukon, clockwise flow around that, and then a trough axis off the coast. So that kept that offshore flow, allowing those temperatures to warm into the 60s and 70s that you saw across all of the southeast coast there, as well as the North Gulf Coast today. And then the 60s and 70s from the Copper River Basin, sunshine and even warmer temperatures extended into the central, or all across the eastern interior. Both Eagle and Salta at least making 80 degrees this afternoon. And for tonight, no change, stays mild or clear and mild with light winds, not much gradient at all across the state anywhere. Except maybe down here to the south, a few closer lines together, so that it could be a little breezier, but definitely nothing heavy at all. Kodiak Island, high pressure in over the area there, so that could lead to quite a bit of low clouds and fog forming, especially mostly along the coastal areas there, but should be VFR here with pretty clear skies, at least VFR, North Gulf Coast, again all the way up to the eastern Brooks Range. Still looking at clouds. Definitely clouds and moisture out here. Periods of rain continuing, but tending to diminish and become not as heavy as it has been. And then just showers up to the north, scattered showers there anywhere along that trough axis, angling back up to the central north slope areas. Look for possible low clouds and fog, IFR here, Arctic coast, into the Bering Strait, maybe down to St. Lawrence Island. A lot of clouds out over the Bering Sea, and the Aleutians continue, but look for a few breaks here, Alaska Peninsula up along the southwest coast, and then some scattered showers of that trough. That'll be mostly west of the Pribilof Islands and north of the Aleutians. So it should be basically dry, very light winds, just mostly cloudy skies, maybe some patchy fog out through this area. And for tomorrow, again, high pressure aloft, gradually building westward. So that kind of shoves this shower area back to the west and northwest, and then it flows over the top of the ridge, again carrying a chance of showers to the eastern Arctic coast. Again, precipitation a lot more scattered and lighter here with that feature as it continues to weaken and is cut off from its southern moisture source. That portion now shifting westward, bringing periods of rain and probably small craft advisories here to the Alaska Peninsula in toward the eastern Aleutians. Dry out to the west with less wind. Still showers stuck out in the Bering Sea there on the south side of this big high near St. Lawrence Island. So if anything, those will continue to drift off to the west, and look for more clearing here from the southwest coast. Could be a partly, maybe even mostly sunny day at times for the Pribilof Islands, and warm temperatures, 70s to lower 80s, 60s again here over all of the eastern interior, Copper River Basin into the upper Tanana Valley, 40-mile country there. A day much like today up there over the upper Yukon Valley, just varying amounts of clouds up in that area. Should be sunny again for the southeast coast. Light winds, but still a general offshore component to the wind flow there. So especially not only at the lower levels, but upper levels as well. So that should keep most of the clouds out to the west and to the south. Then we'll see for Sunday, first day of the weekend, that area of moisture here shifts westward and brings a chance of rain to the central Aleutians, and maybe some showers possibly approaching St. George Island. Otherwise, they probably won't make it up there. Stronger gradient now, northeast winds picking up, so we're looking at 25 to 30 knot winds in the forecast there for the southwest coast. Maybe to St. Lawrence Island, definitely swinging around to the north up in that area. And isolated showers possible there over the Kilbrook Mountains, Auckland Hills area, and Alaska Peninsula. Generally looks mostly cloudy, maybe partly sunny here for Sandpoint over to Alaska. High pressure kind of develops here along the North Gulf Coast, so that'll tend to begin to increase some sea breeze type winds which possibly could get a little gusty late in the afternoon and into the evening there here along the North Gulf Coast through Turnagaram and those areas. Otherwise, sunny, warm conditions again, but just a chance of some scattered to isolated, more in the isolated range, showers here possibly being triggered in the afternoon up over the eastern interior, maybe the Alaska Range areas, White Mountains, and any one of those could develop into an even more isolated thunderstorm. Otherwise, light winds here for the southeast coast, although Lynn Canal could get 20-knot northerlies there. They'll extend down into Stevens Passes, but generally looking at a pretty light wind condition there. Another sunny day, at least to start the weekend, therefore the southeast coast. Looks like most of the clouds, if any, will be Dixon entrance and again out to the west. High pressure over the Gulf there. That'll tend to increase the lower clouds along the North Gulf Coast, maybe staying out of Prince William Sound through Saturday, but you never know in this kind of a pattern. Sometimes they'll just roll right in, right up and hug the coastline. And temperatures this afternoon, again upper 60s. These were mid-afternoon temperatures. Again, not any of the high temperatures, just kind of a hit the middle of the afternoon here with Metlakatla 72 degrees, 72 also at Sitka and up at Juneau. Otherwise, Port Alexander had 66 with same reading there at Yakutat, 67 in Cordova, 65 Palmer, Anchorage, again upper 50s there at Kenai, 57 down at Homer, 66 up in the Susitna Valley at Talkeetna, but other temperatures such as Willow up into the 70s, Big Lake, same thing, 64 at Denali, 70s here at the Copper River Basin with 71 at Gulkana, kind of a faded 79 there at Tok, and the same thing at Eagle with lower 70s there as you get up toward Fairbanks and Delta. Again, more clouds out here to the west, so just 57 at McGrath with Tanana pushing up to 65 degrees. And again, you can see the contrast in temperatures from east to west due to the cloud cover and precipitation with Ambler at 46. Then you rise up to 62 there at Bettles and 72 at Fort Yukon, even Arctic Village up to 61. Both Anatuvik and Umiat Airfield, lower 50s this afternoon. Arctic Coast, 40 to 45. Central and Eastern Coast, otherwise in the upper 30s. And that pattern down here into the Northwest valleys as well. Kind of a contrast there, 39 at Nome, while White Mountain up to 47. Otherwise, Mountain Village and St. Mary's both had 48 this afternoon, 46 St. Michael, 37 at Savunga, and 39 there at Tin City. Mostly in the 40s over the Kuskokwim Yukon Delta, mid to upper 40s, next extended out to the coastline. 40s for the Pribilofs, 40s here across all of the Aleutians, then some 50s showing up there at Cold Bay, 50, 52 at Sand Point, and about the same on up into Bristol Bay, again with the clouds and rain. Looking at the lows for tonight, forecast mid-40s here at Kodiak Island, up into south central Alaska, and 40s, maybe lower 50s there for the Panhandle, and looks pretty mild here over the interior, mid or in the 40s, in some cases upper 40s throughout that area. Cooler upper 20s to lower 30s for the North Slope and Arctic coast. And that temperature regime extending down into the northern Bering Sea with mid to upper 30s to the south. For the highs tomorrow, again, just like today, 40s over the Bering Sea and Aleutians, upper 40s to lower 50s here for the Alaska Peninsula, but quite a bit of warming forecast there with that area band of moisture pulling back to the west and north. So it looks like you'll break out into some sunshine there with 66 at King Salmon, and that's McGrath approaching 70 degrees, mid 70s for the Susitna Valley tomorrow, as well as into some areas of the greater Anchorage zone with 60s over the Kenai Peninsula, 70s again to lower 80s up over the eastern interior areas, and again 70 to 75 about sums it up here for all of the southeast coast. Some areas a little warmer, others a little cooler. And moving on to the flying weather for tomorrow morning, areas IFR here, they're inland areas of northern Bristol Bay, and definitely here from the Bering Strait down into the northern Bering Sea, maybe reaching the coastline, and of course along the western and eastern Arctic coast with marginal VFR out over the western Bering down into the Aleutians, but some good VFR here Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians, as well as, again, the North Gulf Coast, right up all the way to until you get to the north side of the Brooks Range, and of course VFR for the Panhandle. Then for tomorrow afternoon, no change through these areas. Again, high pressure at the surface, light winds, again, maybe marginal VFR hanging in along the coastal areas of Kodiak Island, otherwise VFR. And less of that here. Alaska Peninsula, probably see the best chance of marginal conditions out to the eastern Aleutians, just a risk up there toward Cape Newingham. Then IFR hanging tough here in the northern Bering Sea through the strait up to about Point Hope and Cape Lisburne. Pass-wise, Anaktuvuk, occasionally marginal, same forecast for Atigan, occasional marginal VFR. But Lake Clark, Merrill, Rainy, all VFR, as well as the central and eastern Brooks Range passes looking VFR. Mentasta VFR, Tanita definitely VFR. Portage, Sealine's visibility is unlimited there, as well as for Chilkoot and White. And for the freezing levels, big area, 8,000 feet plus here, northwest Canada, eastern interior associated with that huge upper level high. And then cooling off out into the Bering Sea, 2,000 feet there, still north of Barrow, down through the strait and just west of St. Lawrence Island. Icing maybe here, possibilities over the above about 10,000 feet for the Alaska Peninsula, out maybe as far west as Unalaska Island. And then with that moisture band up here over the north and northwest part of the state, and that'd be mostly above about 8,000 feet. And winds aloft, again, huge high pressure area pulling westward for tomorrow, pushing the jet flow south winds there, turning southwest off the Arctic coast, off to the west, a big trough out here over the Bering Sea and southward. Then for the 9,000 foot winds, very light and variable here over the interior, and then southwesterlies possibly up to 25 knots at this elevation for the western Arctic coast. Easterlies, east-northeasterlies, 15 or 10 to 20, maybe 25 knots across the southern Panhandle. Strongest winds here, eastern Aleutians, 25 knots, not all that strong, but lighter out to the west. 3,000 foot winds, again, northeast to southwest here, 10 to 20 knots, strongest along the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians. Light variable winds over the interior, just 5 knots or none at all, kind of pretty variable light winds for the northern Bering Sea. And then that west-southwesterly branch there, 15 to 25 along the Arctic coast, and offshore flow, 10 to maybe 20 knots for the Panhandle. Turbulence-wise, nothing heavy at all, maybe for light or for small aircraft here for the Alaska Peninsula, the eastern Aleutians, and maybe just a chance there for the central and western Arctic coast from Barrow to maybe Point Lay. And after the break, Hangar Flying or Stargazer, I'll be back with the marine forecasts.
The Great Midnight Triangle Fest.
Welcome to Stargazers. I'm Dean Regas, astronomer from the Cincinnati Observatory.
And I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida. Summer is almost here and our favorite winter constellations are almost gone. But don't despair. After midnight, any night this week, we have 2 nifty triangles that are going to dazzle the night sky.
That's right, James. One of the triangles you see every summer, but the other one is formed by a unique arrangement of the planets.
Plus, if you go outside at midnight the mornings of May 15th and 16th, you'll see yet another triangle formed by the moon, a planet, and a star. Wondering what we're talking about? Let's show you.
Okay, we have our skies set for midnight the morning of May 15th. If you look to the west, you'll see the giant planet Jupiter among the stars of Leo the Lion. Jupiter will have a close conjunction with the moon on May 15th and 16th. So, if you're into geometric shapes like we are, you can form a triangle between Jupiter, the waxing crescent moon, and the star Regulus on May 15th, and then use Leo's tail star Denebula to form a triangle with Jupiter and the moon on May 16th.
Since the moon moves pretty quickly, triangles formed using the moon only last a few hours. So if you want to see more stable triangles all week long, check out the sky toward the southeast, and you can do that any night this week or next.
At midnight, any night this week, look southeast and you'll spot our next triangle. The northernmost point in this triangle is the red planet Mars, and it's right next to the star Shuba, the center star of the 3 stars making the face of Scorpius the Scorpion. Mars is fairly close to us right now and was named after the Roman god of war because the red color of this planet reminded many ancient people of blood and violence.
The second part of our triangle is formed by the ringed planet Saturn. Saturn is in an excellent spot for viewing right now, and its rings are tipped toward us in such a way that if you have a small telescope, you'll get a picture-perfect view of Saturn. Saturn reaches opposition in just a few weeks, so it'll get bigger and brighter as the days pass. So definitely get outside and check it out.
The final part of our triangle is formed by the star Antares. Antares means rival of Mars, and if you look at it closely, it has the same reddish tint as Mars. However, this red celestial dazzler isn't red for the same reason that Mars is red. Antares is a red supergiant star that's nearing the end of its life. The star is just over 550 light years away from us, and it's so large that you could easily fit the orbits of Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars inside it.
Alrighty, let's take a look at our second triangle of the Midnight Triangle Fest. Okay, we still have our skies set to midnight, and if you look east, you'll see the 3 brilliant stars of the Summer Triangle. Vega is the brightest star of Lyra the Harp, Dehne is the brightest star of Cygnus the Swan, and Altair is the brightest star of Aquila the Eagle.
The brightest star of the 3 is Vega. It's only 25 light years from Earth and is one of the most luminous stars in our neighborhood.
The second brightest star in the Summer Triangle is Altair, and it's only 17 light years from Earth. Of all the stars near us, Altair spins the fastest. At its equator, Altair can make one complete rotation in only 9 hours. Compare that to our Sun, which takes 26 days to complete one rotation.
The last star of the Summer Triangle is the blue-white supergiant Dehne. Dehne just happens to be the North Star on Mars and is almost 60,000 times as bright as our Sun. However, because it's over 3,000 light years away from us, it appears much fainter than Vega and Altair.
So, there you have it. 2 bright triangles to light up your night sky. Mars, Saturn, and Antares,
and the ever-popular and lovely Summer Triangle, Vega, Altair, and Dehne.
And if you're outside later this week, Jupiter and the Moon make a triangle with Regulus on May 15th and Denebula on May 16th. Keep looking up.
Welcome back. Ice looking something like this. Still some heavier stuff out here north and east of St. Lawrence Island, and a little bit of heavier ice hanging tough here over western Norton Sound. Otherwise, opening up there into the Bering Strait and things thinning out to actually areas of open water here along the central and western Arctic coast and even off to the east here. Moving on to the marine forecasts, east-northeasterlies 20 knots along the coast, become lighter as you head north. Light winds over the inside waters becoming east down south. And then for Saturday, a little bit more of a breeze here, northerlies 20 knots for Stevens Passage, 15 up in northern Lynn Canal, easterlies at 20 there across Clarence Strait, and east winds at 15 out along the coast. So great couple of days coming up there. Light variable winds, all areas here of the, Shelikof Strait through the Gulf of Alaska and Cook Inlet, Prince William Sound. Strongest winds out of the northeast, but just 15 knots to the east side of Kodiak Island. And so light variable winds most areas for Saturday, but northeast 15 to 20 now here for Kodiak. And for the Alaska Peninsula, east-northeast, 25 knots, good for small craft advisories, but seas staying pretty good with 5 to 6 feet. Otherwise, lighter winds up over Bristol Bay. Northerlies at 15 there from Bristol Bay down to Castle Cape or Cape Sarachev, and northeast 15 to 20 knots, again from Cape Sarachev up to Sitkinak. And for the Fox Islands, small craft advisories, a pretty stiff wind out of the northeast at 30 knots. Tomorrow, as that trough rotates westward, with seas 7 to 9 feet and lighter winds out to the west, but all northeasterly. And for Saturday, northeast winds continue, but picking it up now, the small craft advisories to the central Aleutians, and then dropping it down 20 to 25 or so for the Fox Islands. And the southwest coast, north 15 tomorrow, northeast 15 for the Pribilofs, east 15 for St. Lawrence Island. And then those winds pick up with tighter gradient, north to northeast, 20 to 25 knots, southwest coast, northeast 25 for the Pribilofs. Up along the Arctic coast, very light variable winds here on the east side, southwest 20, though, from, again, about Barrow, central coast, all the way down to Cape Thompson, and then pretty darn light from there down to the Bering Strait. Those turn northwest but stay light, more westerly here, just 10 knots or 5 to 10 knots here along the coast, and 15 increasing to 20 knots out of the west. So strongest winds on Saturday will be on the central coast there at 20 knots. Otherwise, becoming a little more westerly or becoming westerly and picking up to about 15 on the east side. For tonight again, mostly clear, dry, mild, light winds through the interior, clouds with some areas of moisture here to the west with that trough, but light winds, and then low clouds and fog possible here for the Bering Sea, as well as Kodiak Island stays clear over the southeast coast. And for the forecast for tomorrow, again, much like today, but in some cases probably warmer through all areas, North Gulf Coast, South Central Alaska, right up through the interior, 60s, 70s, into the lower 80s, another 70s plus day for the southeast coast there with light winds. But this trough brings some wind and rain into the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula, which will scoot westward to the central Aleutians and weaken on Saturday. Again, more wind here, but staying clear along the southwest coast, and isolated showers, but another warm day over the interior. Have a great evening, and thanks for joining us.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.